Smoking hot debate over Amendment 64 across the state, including right here on the Western Slope. KKCO 11 News reporter Christy Diamond live in the studio with a look at what both sides are saying about what Amendment 64 is and its implications. Christy.
Well, Glenn, Amendment 64 was the main topic of conversation at the Mesa County Republicans' luncheon today. Organizers invited a top cop and the DA's office to share more on their stance. But just yesterday, a few law enforcement associations announced their support of Amendment 64. In any case, it's an issue coming to your November ballot.
Why widen the net for all those things that public safety resources and healthcare resources and community resources have to try to mitigate?
Sheriff Stan Hilke publicly discussed his opposition to Amendment 64, which would allow the personal use and regulation of marijuana for adults 21 and over.
There's no residency requirement for this law. In other words, anybody can come from any part of the world to Colorado to get their marijuana and have it legally. So, the implications that Colorado becomes a destination site for marijuana vacations is frightening to me.
Meanwhile, proponents of the ballot item say if passed, the amendment would make it easier to keep out of the hands of kids.
Marijuana is going to be out there. Do we want to leave it in an underground market where it's entirely uncontrolled? Or do we want to put it behind a counter where it's harder for young people to get?
However, Chief Deputy District Attorney Dan Rubenstein says marijuana becoming legal would entice more young people to use it.
In 2004, Colorado did a study of their college kids to find out those who were using marijuana and those who weren't. And one of the questions they asked was, for those who weren't using marijuana, what was the reason? And the number one reason cited by the college students was because it was illegal.
Proponents say legalization would boost Colorado's economy.
By keeping marijuana in an underground market, we are funneling millions of dollars toward illegal drug cartels that could be directed toward legal, legitimate Colorado businesses.
But Sheriff Hilge says just like with alcohol sales, the economic boost from marijuana sales wouldn't cover the costs.
The revenue that's generated from just the alcohol and tobacco only covers about 15% of all the costs that really occur in our communities with regards to health care, insurance rates, criminal justice costs.
Earlier this week, the Colorado Education Association announced its opposition to the amendment, while the National Latino Officers Association and Blacks in Law Enforcement of America announced their support. And Glenn, a recent study by the Denver Post shows 51% of those surveys are in favor of Amendment 64, while 40% oppose it.
All right, we'll see. Thanks a lot, Christy. To know more about Amendment 64 and what opponents and proponents are saying,